I am going to welcome to the stage Jan Mons. As I mentioned before, he is one of the founding members of UX Antwerp. He and his partners at UXprobe started this whole thing more than 10 years ago. Thank you so much, by the way.
Hi, Annie.
We're still here and very happy to welcome you to the stage.
Cool. It's nice to be back at the stage.
Good, good. Well, I'm going to hand it over to you. I'm very excited to hear about what you've been working on.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Yeah, I can share my slides. So here we are. And yeah, the first slide I just stolen from the UX team because it was done so well. I was like, okay, I cannot redo that. So I'll just reuse it. So the talk for this evening will be about artificial intelligence and UX working hand in hand. Yeah, it's about actually the work I'm doing a bit on the side with the platform, but you will see a bit more about that later. If I can move to the next slide, that would be great. Voila. So yeah, I'm the co-founder of UXpro. UXpro is a UX agency, like you call it. And we provide consultancy, UX consultancy services. So yeah, we do a lot of UX projects from beginning till end, from ideation phase to really building prototypes and doing usability tests. And I'm the owner of UXprobe. I started UXprobe in 2013 with one of the other founders of the UX Meetup or UX Antwerp, Paul Davies. And we built a usability testing platform for remote testing, which would be very handy to use in times of COVID-19, of course, where everything and everyone is remote. So that's also what we did. The last year is a lot of remote usability tests with people who were working from home. I'm also a certified usability designer since 2006. Yeah, I'm really that old already. If you want to contact me, voila, here are my contact details. Send me an email if you want, or follow me on Twitter, or yeah, go to my LinkedIn profile if you want to connect with me. So it's always good, I think, to start a slide or a presentation with something from Elon Musk. Elon Musk news. So it was about AI, and in 2017 he tweeted something about AI safety. He's really concerned about it, and vastly more risk than North Korea. I was like, oh man, what the hell is this all about? And then after some time, I read some other stuff. He was saying like, yeah, artificial intelligence will surpass human intelligence by 2025. But yeah, Elon Musk is known of making such announcements, even about COVID-19. So I was like, okay, that's amusing. But after some time, I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, hell yeah, but this really sounds like one of those Terminator movies. And I have one here, Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. So really thinking about that. Oh, yeah. It's, one of the how do you call it, protagonists is the Skynet's artificial intelligent network that is turning himself against his creators, us humans. I was like, oh man, I hope it will not go that way. But yeah, Elon Musk is this strange guy. So we'll see. Probably, every new technology or thing that you make, if it falls in the hands of somebody who has something bad in mind with it, yeah, of course, things can happen. But it don't have to be such fatalistic as what he thinks. But then again, I got this announcement from the Independent saying like GPT-3. Well, GPT-3, for me, it already sounds worse than COVID-19. GPT-3, damn, what the hell is this? And it says like mind-blowing AI tool. can design websites and prescribe medicine. I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. Can design websites. But then I was like, oh yeah, but that's something that I do and a lot of my colleagues do. We design websites. So this thing, this artificial intelligent thing, GPT-3, can do it all by himself or itself. So I was like, I hope it's not going in the wrong direction here. Then, of course, I also read like Too Dangerous to Release, which has now been released. And again, I had to think about these Terminator movies. And I was like, okay, let's see what this GPT-3 thing is. And it's some Googling and also found like links to GPT-3 and user experience, UX. So I was like, okay, let's look at those things. And there were people really using like GPT-3, this artificial intelligent thingy, to play with it. And one of these guys, this is his Twitter handle, components_AI. He gave like description or the color scale of the color violet to the GPT-3 artificial intelligence system. And then he said like, okay, when I gave it an emoji or the name of an emoji, for instance, an orange, I get back all the colors scales based on that emoji. I was like, oh, yeah, okay. Pretty interesting. Yeah, nice. Not life-threatening, but okay, maybe I can do something with it. Then another thing I saw of Jordan Singer, he made a plugin for Figma. And I was like, yeah, I use Figma almost every day. And what he did was like, in the plugin that he made, you just describe in words what you want to design on the screen. So you just say, hey, I want an app with a navigation bar, a camera icon, photos title, blah, blah, blah. You press the design button and it creates the frame and yeah, all the elements or components that he just described. I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. This could help me maybe if I want to generate something so that I can win some time, do some groundwork for me so that maybe I don't have to do it. So this looked kind of interesting, yeah, must say. And then another guy, Sharif Shamin, he has a company. It's a web development company, and he also wants to provide tools to designers and web developers to make building apps and websites easier. And this is also what he did. He just describes like, I want a button that looks like a watermelon. And then he gets the GSX code of a button that looks like a watermelon and that has the label watermelon. I was like, yeah, okay, nice, cool. Don't know if I can do something with it. But a few tweets later, I saw like, okay, this is more interesting. He said like, I was able to build a functioning React app by just describing what I want. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you see like in the gray box, a description of what he wants, a button that says add $3 and a button that says withdraw $5 and a button that says give away all my money, then show me my balance. And on the right-hand side, you can see all these three buttons and the balance. Now, it's a video, I cannot show it here, but if you click the buttons like add $3, it's adding like $3 every time to this balance. Withdraw $5, it withdraws $5, and you can see it in the balance. So I was like, oh, pretty cool. And yeah, it generates even the code so that you can give it to a developer and maybe can start with this. Because in my case, a lot of times when we create prototypes, our customers are also asking like, yeah, but can you also actually build it for us? Can you write the code? So for me, it was like, oh, maybe I could do something with it. But yeah, I have to further investigate, of course. But yeah, there were like 4 interesting concepts. I was like, yeah, but GPT-3, what is it? And GPT stands for Generative pre-training transformer. I was like, yeah, that sounds a lot like one of those 3 movies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, Transformer. And it also says like, can generate world knowledge by training on a diverse corpus of text. So what it actually does, GPT-3, yeah, it's a kind of a model that has been given a lot of textual information as input, and it also gets an output. And then in the middle, there is this magic going on that can transform this textual input into something that you want to give as an output. Like from the things we saw earlier, you just say like, okay, I want to see the color scales of an apple, and it generates like the color scales. But this thing is trained on a lot of examples. And if I'm right, it uses like 175 billion different parameters. So it's a huge thing. It's trained on a lot of things. So you might say it could do a lot of things as well. So what you feed into it, you give it the input, and then it somehow guesses what should come out next. Because it's been trained on a lot of data, it can more or less guess what the end result would be or should be. So it's a bit like this. So if you look at just regular software development, for instance, if you want to calculate the degrees Fahrenheit, you have this input. Usually you have the degrees in Celsius. And to get the degrees Fahrenheit, you have to multiply the degrees Celsius with 1.8 and add 32. And then as a result, the return of F is a result of that calculation. So you have an input and you know the algorithm, so you can calculate the output. Now, with these systems like GPT-3, it works a bit different. So here you have an input. In this case, I have the degrees Celsius, 0, 8, 15, 22. And I need to calculate the Fahrenheit. But I actually don't know the actual algorithm, but I know like the outputs of the degrees Fahrenheit. 0 corresponds to 32, 8 with 46.4, etc. So what this artificial intelligence system does is actually trying to figure out if I get a certain input. Under the black box, you have some mathematical functions going on. Like you get an input, you multiply it by some weights. Sometimes you add a bias or some kind of number, and you get an output. And this goes on for a couple of times. Like in the blue dots, this is where you have your end results. And in those arrows between the blue dots, these are the weight calculations, actually. So it tries to figure out what the actual weights are that have to be calculated on the input to get a certain output. Now, depending on what you're trying to do, you have to make different layers of these blue dots that you connect with each other, and then the mathematical magic in between just happens. Now, I'm not going to dive into the mathematics because I think it's a bit too difficult, and it's impossible to do this in half an hour talk. But what I want to say is, do not fear the rise of the machines, because from the examples you saw earlier, you as a UX designer are one of the input points. You are one of the people who have to give inputs and an output to this kind of artificial and intelligent systems. And like the guy with the Figma, what he did was like, describe what he wants to see on the canvas, the frames. And the first thing he said, like, okay, the output should look like this. And probably he trained it for some iterations. gave some different inputs and outputs. And in the end, he could say like, okay, now I'll generalize it more and I'll ask it to build an app for me and add some buttons on it, etc. But these things need us, UX designers, and other people, of course. And we rely on data scientists, programmers, psychologists, whomever that has useful input to learn these systems or let these systems learn. I have a bit of a short overview about artificial intelligence. That's these 4 balls. If you start at the lowest level or the smallest ball, technologies, physical enablement. Well, like you've seen, if you want to do machine learning or build an artificial intelligent system, you need to give it inputs. An input can be data coming from analytics, can be sensor input like the degrees outside or that it's raining. You can feed it other stuff like texts from books, citations, photographs, videos, whatever you come up with it. And that's you put into the system so that it can learn from. You give it an input and you say, with this input, I expect this output, and it tries to figure out how to get there. But it takes a lot of iterations and a lot of calculations to come up with the right or the right output, between brackets, the right, of course, because this system is most of the time just guessing. Now we have different kinds of artificial intelligence. Of course, you have machine learning, and probably you've also heard about deep learning. So machine learning is trying to learn without the intervention of the human, actually. While deep learning tries, that's what you've seen a bit earlier with the blue balls, tries to mimic the human brain, actually, to learn from. And then for a big part, we talk about supervised learning. And that means like, okay, I have an input and I have a corresponding output, and now it's up to the model or the neural net to figure out how it can get from the input to the output. And then, artificial intelligence as a whole is the ability to sense, reason, engage, and learn. So if it gets some inputs, it tries to figure out what it needs to do, and even can learn to change things. That's the real intelligence then. And then you have this small circle at the bottom, user experience or UX. And that's where I want to focus a bit on, especially with UXprobe. We built this system to do remote usability tests. So over the years, I still saved like about 600 or even a bit more than 600 user sessions, recordings of people doing a usability test on a website, on a prototype, or whatever people asked us to test. And I'll show you a short video to get a sense of what it's about. So on this screen, you see on the top, taak 7 van 7. Well, these are the tasks that you give to people, or the scenarios that they need to try to complete with the prototype or with the website they get. And when they think they finished successfully the task, they can press the green button on the top right, or if they cannot finish the task or just want to skip it because it takes too long, they press the red link also on the top right. I'm just going to show you a short video. So you can see the guy here scrolling up and down. In the meanwhile, he's talking out loud what he's doing, what he's thinking, what he's expecting. Yeah. Well, in the background, you also hear his kid. Yeah? He's playing around, I think, which is also very important in usability testing to get context.
alleen omdat er op mijn traject radarcontroles gaan zijn. Maar dat is misschien ook te veel gevraagd. Ik weet niet dat het hier zo toe doet, maar dat is mijn persoonlijk.
Yeah. So he presses the green button, then he gets some questions.
Dus die 4 radarcontroles, dat klopt dan niet, want het is vandaag flitsmarathon, dus er zouden tientallen moeten zijn.
Ja.
Yeah.
So the system that we developed, really is a combination of what you can see, what people are doing. So he's scrolling and clicking on the website in the background. We have the audio and the video of the webcam, so we know what he's saying out loud, so what he's thinking, what he's expecting, etc. But we also have his face. We can also see how he reacts to certain things. And in the end, of course, we have these post-test or post-task surveys to better understand what he has been doing, what he has been thinking. So it's really a combination of these things, which are classical to just usability testing. And from these things, we can already automatically create like a dashboard with the 3 classical usability metrics like task success, time on task or task duration, and task satisfaction. And from here, if we want to be fast, we can jump, for instance, directly into the sessions that failed, or we can click on the sessions with a very short task duration or a very long task duration to understand what's happening there. Or we could have a look at the sessions where people said, oh, I found it difficult to execute or perform this task. So we can see like what is going on here instead of watching the whole video. So we come up to this screen where our UX or usability expert goes into the, in this case, failed task and starts annotating it or coding it. So on the top here of the screen, you have like these buttons saying like, okay, I found a usability error, or I saw a behavior that I didn't expect, positive, negative comments from the user. The user has an idea. I, as a moderator, if it's moderated, had a question, and I found a bug. So the videos can be really annotated, and they are related to the time. So in the end, when we did the annotations, and we are going to look for the insights, we can tag annotations and really group them into teams and quickly jump from the different insights to the specific parts in the video. But yeah, making annotations, it's time consuming, it's labor intensive, important things can be missed. Sometimes, yeah, and some expert thinks like, okay, I think this is relevant, but if you let some other expert annotate it, he might think something different and say, like, oh, I think this is more relevant. So annotations, it's like, yeah, you do your best effort actually, and you try to annotate as best as you can. But yeah, I was thinking like, okay, can I somehow automate the this annotation process? And I was like, okay, I have this 600 videos and they all have recorded the webcam. So can I just extract the facial emotions from the webcam? And on the other side, yeah, people are giving their feedback, yeah? Positive and negative feedback. Oh, I like it, or the navigation was so complex, I could not find the contact page, whatever. So I was focusing on these two things to automate the process a bit more. So let's start with the facial emotions. How does it work? Well, there are like 3 stages in detecting emotions on the face. The first thing is detecting the face, of course. So what's going on here? It's my images of my webcam are given to the neural net, and it tries to figure out which part of that webcam image is my head. So what this neural net actually does, it starts looking for my eyes, then my eyebrows, nose, mouth corners, things like that. Then it says like, okay, if I have this, then I'm sure I've detected the face. The next thing, oh, I have to click here. It's like trying to find landmark positions. And a landmark is like the nose, the eyebrows, and the eyes. And more specifically, like the coordinates of these points. Like, what is the coordinate of this most left point of my mouth, for instance? And also here, if I give my webcam image, it's given to a neural net, and it gives me like the XY coordinates of each of these points. Now, when I have all of these points, I give it to another neural net again, and then it tries to calculate my emotions. So you see me here like looking surprised, angry, disgusted. And it's just based on the input of the landmark point, so the coordinates, and what it learned before when I trained the neural net. So what it actually does here, and that's pretty cool. It's what you see here is actually a schematic overview of convolutional neural net, which is mostly used for images and to detect specific features. So if I give my frame of my head to the neural net, it makes a matrix out of it, and then it uses filters to detect edges and things like that. And if I do this a couple of times in my neural net, it can figure out like eyebrows, eyes, nose, mouth. And in the end, it says like, okay, all these combination of these features. So I'm pretty sure I found a head. So it's able to detect the face or the head into the image. Now, it's a lot of mathematics going on behind. But yeah, if you look at this, it's pretty cool, actually, that it's able to find out these things. And it's not only able to do this with faces, of course, but if you give it an object like a car or a chicken or an airplane, whatever, it can find out all of these features specific to this object as well. So it's pretty cool what you can do with it. So to detect the emotions, I wanted to use the UXprobe videos because I had a lot of them. But the problem is, yeah, like I said before, I need to have an input and an output. My input were the videos or the frames of the video. But since my videos were not labeled or not good enough labeled with the annotations, like saying, oh, in this frame, he's smiling or frowning or looking angry or he's looking surprised, I needed to find another way. And luckily, there are a lot of things going on today on the web. I found a data set called FER 2013. Yeah, it's an old one, but it had like almost 36,000 grayscale images of faces, which were all labeled. So I had an input, the image, and I know like, oh, with this image, the output is angry, disgust, fear, happy, one of these 7 emotions. So I was like, okay, I'll going to use to train that first. And then later I will see what I can do with the videos that come out of UXprobe. So the first thing what we do is detect the face and get the coordinates from the landmarks. And that's what you see, what's going on the left-hand side. So I gave all the videos to my neural net that first detected the rectangle around the face and then calculated the landmarks. And I just put this in a list of coordinates. And then again, I made another small neural net, really small one. I think it's only about 3 layers that I used with neurons inside to see like if I give these inputs that I just calculated, and I know like for image 1, this guy is looking sad. So with this input coordinates, I'll give it to my small neural net, and I'll try to see if it can detect that this guy is looking sad or happy or neutral. And that's what's going on here. Well, you don't see a lot. So what it's doing, it's taking all these thousands of inputs of the images, and it's going through the neural net with all the neurons that I made, and tries to figure out if it can detect, like, image 1 was sad. Okay, is it sad? No, so I made a mistake. So it goes back into the neural net and changes, like, the weights that it adds to the figures that been put on the blue neurons. Yeah, might sound complicated, but you just have to think about it's trying to figure out to find a match between the input and the output, and it just uses mathematics in between to get there. So after these calculations, what I did was like, okay, now I still have these 600 user sessions that have been recorded. So I saved the mathematics, the weights in my neural nets, and then I fed my my user sessions to that model again to figure out, okay, can it detect, like, when people are looking happy or angry in the videos of my usability test that I recorded. And yeah, here you can see, like, okay, the percentage it thinks that the person's looking happy or neutral. Yeah, I have here a bit of a bad plot because in every frame it says, like, okay, this is the percentage of happy, angry, disgust. But what I also like is this thing of the summary below. It's like, okay, it's a 50-minute recording, and half of the time this person was looking neutral, which is like, okay, nothing is really happening. But what I really like is, like, okay, 25% of the time she's looking angry or happy, and she also looks surprised at times. So, and that's what's for me most important, because these are the things when there's this reaction from the user, where he has this, like Benoit explained it with these 3 different brains. It's a reaction from the user on some of the inputs, and those are the things that are interesting. So what I'm trying to do next is, from these 600 videos, I try to categorize myself, depending on what this neural net thinks of these videos, and categorize these frames in angry, happy, and surprise. Then I will ask my daughter, because now it's holiday and school is out, to go over the videos and manually look at, okay, is she really looking angry on this frame like the model predicted? And if we could keep only the ones that are correct, and retrain then this whole model again with my own user sessions to see if it makes improvements to what is already going on today, which is already kind of cool to see, like, okay, it's most of the time it's correct from the videos that I saw, because I didn't go through all the 600 videos manually myself, but it was already pretty amazing what it could do. So with that, the facial emotions, then I was also thinking, like, okay, but people talk out loud as well. So can't I just record the positive and the negative sentiment in what they say? So I was thinking, like, okay, they are talking, it's speech, it's audio. There must be something to convert it to text. And then I'll give it again to a neural net to calculate the sentiment. Is it positive or negative? Now, finding a good API to do the speech to text, well, it's still a bit of a struggle, so I have to investigate more. But I found a very interesting tool called otranscribe.com. And what you can do is you can give it a video as an input, and together with the voice and voice typing Chrome plugin. So you could open up a video in otranscribe, and then click on the voice-in-voice typing Chrome plugin that you can see here on the right. And when you play the video, it tries to translate the speech into text. Now, it's not, if you just let it do like this, it's not that good. But what I did was wear headphones. So I heard what this person was saying in the video, and then myself tried to articulate as best as I could to transcribe this whole video, of course. So it's not completely automated, but yeah, this is a nice tool if you want to transcribe an interview or a usability test. It's all free. Transcribe is free, and the voice-in-voice typing Chrome plugin is also free as well. So what I did, again, I made a neural net, an RNN, a recurrent neural network. I will not go into detail about it here because it's really complicated. But what I did here is like I took my annotations that were already in the system. I downloaded them, but they were like a bit of over 1,000, so not enough. So I tried first with these couple of thousands to train my model to see like, okay, with the input I give, can it decide whether or not it's positive or negative? But the amount of input that I gave was not enough. So I had a really low percentage of accuracy. So then I thought like, oh, maybe I can extend these annotations with reviews from Google Play, from the apps on Google Play. So I made a crawler to go through all these apps and download the reviews, the ones with a 5 for a positive review and the ones with 1 with a negative review. So I was pretty sure that it was correctly, the input and the output were linked correctly. So in the end, I had a training set of 9,782 reviews and a test set of 2,400 positive and negative reviews. Now, these two sets are kept separate because you don't want the testing data to use in the training, and because then there might be some knowledge that you don't want that gets inside of the model, actually. And by doing this, I got an accuracy of 85% with the test data. So I gave it the input and I said, this is the output. And then I let it go for a couple of runs through my model. And after some time, it said like, okay, I predict with 85% accuracy that this with this input, it's that this is the output positive or negative. So the next thing I want to do is remove Google Play and only add the comments that I have from these test sessions that I get from this speech to text to sentiment in the end. So my daughter has a lot of work the next 8 weeks until she has to go back to school to do the transcription of the reviews in the UXpro platform. And yeah, of course, I don't sit still. So I also applied for a scholarship for the AWS machine learning, and I was accepted. And actually today, there was this introduction on how it will go. So I want to even expand more my knowledge of what I already know, and I think this will be a good thing. So, and I don't have to pay for it, which is another thing, yeah, a good thing. So what are my next steps? Use a data set from our own recordings, 600 recordings. Most of it are recorded in Dutch, so I also want some kind of voice recognition in Dutch, of course. And then there are other stuff, like I'm also, I don't have it in my, but I have a lot of wearables to measure my GSR. I have a headband to track my EEG and stuff like that. And I think if we use all these stuff and get them together into a good artificial intelligent model, that it can predict relatively good or maybe really good the outcomes of a usability test, that we can really go and point out to the positive and negative sides and how people are feeling during the test to very quickly go through the recordings again and come up with some nice insights for our customers. Voila. So if you have questions, and yeah, these are my contact details.
Hey, Jan, thanks so much. It's really kind of mind-blowing and fascinating what you've been working on recently. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, it's really, really interesting work. I think that the question on a lot of people's minds and what came up in the comments actually is, a lot of these tools, we hear about them very early on and we see these really inspirational cases, but in a lot of ways, practically, they're still, statistics machines. They're still lacking a lot of the context and interpretation, which of course, as we as designers are here to fill in, and that's our role. Yeah. And it seemed like you started to kind of skirt on being able to add things like semantically driven techniques and things like that. But how far away do you think we are from first of all, how far away are we from really being able to integrate these things in our daily processes? And then secondly, like how far away are we from really getting a lot more intelligent in terms of, adding knowledge and rule-based systems and really making these things really intelligent?
Yeah, well, today there are a lot of APIs already that you can use. Mm-hmm. Yeah, since I was following this course on Udacity on machine learning and I try to build these models myself, of course, but there are a lot of JavaScript even models in TensorFlow. It's one of those packages that you can use to do machine learning that you can already use today. Like there's this face API that does all the things that I just did already there. You just give it like, this is a webcam, this is the X and Y coordinates of it. Yeah. Now you do what you do with it and give me back what you think is the emotion. So there are a lot of things that are already working. Now, again, the system is about guessing. It's never like I'm 100% sure that this guy is sad. It's like, I think it's 70 or 80 or 90% that he's sad, 5% that he's maybe neutral. But it already gives a good indication, I think. It shows you like, look at this thing, we think he's sad, click on it, have a look at the video. Oh yeah, it's really the case, he's sad. And sometimes you might say, oh no, you're wrong, he's happy. But that's what I said.
True. It's a tool, it's not a robot yet.
Tool, voila, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's a tool, and that's how I see artificial intelligence as such. It's more like a tool. That's why I said hands in hand together. I'm not going to listen alone to the artificial intelligence and generate my report that I can send to the customer. No, I will give me some inputs that I can look at and see, like, is it true what he's saying or what it's thinking? And then go further with that.
Yeah. Well, I think your approach is correct. I mean, you seem to just be getting your hands dirty and trying different things and looking for APIs and testing them out and seeing what you can do with it. I think that with these type of, cutting edge technologies, it doesn't really work to just sort of sit around until a product is laid in your lap. You really just have to kind of mess around with stuff and put things together. So
well, I had videos, 600 videos of an hour. So I was like, okay, there's a lot of data. I want to do something with it. And maybe it helps me to shorten my time that I have to look at the videos and annotate them. That was my case.
That is a clear problem that needs a solution. So good on you. All right. Well, thanks. I'm gonna wrap up for this evening. You have a Q&A session, so anyone who wants to talk to Jan about what he's been working on about artificial intelligence and using these amazing new machine learning tools in your practice, definitely meet him in the sessions there. Check out the networking. We'll keep the event going as long as people are here. Thanks for joining. I just really quickly want to let everyone know that next month we don't have an event. We always take July off for a holiday. So there's no event, but we'll be back in August. I believe it's the 31st of August, the last Tuesday of August, we'll be back. It'll most likely still be an online event. It'll be our last online event unless something happens, and we'll let you know. But after that, we are planning to go back in real life. However, we don't want to lose this momentum of the success that we've had with digital events and being able to expand our audience across our Belgian borders or even our Antwerp borders. So keep us in mind, because when we go back in real life, we'll be launching hybrid events that will be both digital and in real life. Babo's giving me a very panicked look because we haven't figured it out fully, but we will.
Contact me if you have a solution.
We're working on it, and we think we'll play around with some cool solutions to be able to keep the best of both worlds. So we'll see you in August, and then maybe even in the flesh in September. So thank you so much for joining us, and thank you again to all of our volunteers at UX Antwerp for keeping these events online and keeping the momentum going. It's lovely to see you all here. See you in the sessions and networking afterwards. Otherwise, enjoy your summer break. Enjoy the summer if it decides to manifest, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.